30 persons injured in Lagos gas explosion. All Progressives Congress suspends Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi for anti-party activities. In international news, Australia's economy affected by COVID-19. In the sports, Bayern Munich win UEFA Super Cup.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. 30 persons are confirmed injured in the Lagos gas explosion that occurred on Thursday in Iju-Ishaga and Iju-Ajunwo communities in Ifakwe-Ijaye Council area of Lagos State. National Emergency Management Authority Southwest Coordinator Ibrahim Farinloye says the tanker was trying to enter a gas plant when it exploded. NEMA says 23 buildings and 15 vehicles were burned. No deaths were reported. Residents of the area have appealed to the state government to relocate gas plants away from residential areas. 125 new coronavirus infections were recorded on Thursday, while there are still about 7,500 active cases in the country. 49,098 infected persons have recovered and have been discharged across 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Abuja. Nigeria Center for Disease Control also reported 1,102 infected persons have died. And CDC says at least 10% of the total cases in the country are persons under 19. Lagos had the highest number of Thursday's new cases with 37 infections. A crisis in the Ekiti State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has worsened as the party suspends the state governor, Kayode Fayemi, for what it called anti-party activities. The party statement accused Fayemi of playing a contrary role to the provisions of the party in the recently concluded Edo governorship election. APC executives claimed that 5 days before the Edo election, Governor Fayemi hosted PDP bigwig Femi Fani-Kayode in the government house in Ado-Ekiti and planned a coup against Edo APC. The party also said Governor Fayemi played a role in the gubernatorial election in Oyo State and supported the PDP candidate to defeat that of APC. A recent report on obesity shows 62% of overweight persons globally are found in developing countries, even though Nigeria featured among African countries with high cases. The country has its own fair share of citizens struggling with being overweight. Correspondent Kelechi Mekalam tells us about a young man in Lagos who has come up with a unique way to help obese persons shed the weight.
Burning up calories with some workout routines. That has become the new lifestyle for Nigerian fitness coach Nwanneka Nweze. The 29-year-old began a personal weight loss journey about a year ago. At the time, she weighed 125 kilograms. She was determined to get back her self-esteem and maintain a healthy lifestyle. And she has lost over 38 kilograms since she began her weight loss journey. And now Nwanneka helps several others with similar struggles.
There's a picture I took about myself. In that picture, I was literally very big, and I was so ashamed to put out the picture because everywhere was just enlarged. And I asked myself, what the hell is happening? I'm still young. At that age, I was 29, and I was so big. I asked myself, I don't need to continue being this obese and everything. So that was when I decided to take up the journey. I have classes both online and offline. So you have to prepare people mentally first for weight loss before they can start.
There are a growing number of overweight adults in Nigeria and across sub-Saharan Africa. That's according to health tech company Wellknew.me. In its recent report, many people in sub-Saharan Africa are adopting a lifestyle more commonly found in the Western world, eating excessive amounts of high-calorie foods and spending more time sitting down.
Quite a worrying trend because we are now seeing that there are large sections of the female population in Nigeria that are putting on more weight than they should. Obesity itself is a health problem, but also increases your risk of developing things like cancer, things like hypertension, things like diabetes itself.
Recently, a lot of people in this part of the world, Africa, have adopted the style of eating processed food and, having the habit of not exercising. So eating late can contribute to one being obese, eating fatty food and junks, and eating too much. Too much of everything is bad.
According to the World Health Organization, about 26% of Nigerian adults are either obese or overweight. Many say that maintaining a balanced, healthy diet can be a costly venture, especially for the 82 million people that live below poverty line. But medical experts warn that managing health risks associated with obesity and being overweight comes at a much higher cost.
Coming up, African stories. COVID-19 affects South Africa's schools feeding programs, denying many students of their most important daily meals. And later, international news. Australia's economy affected by COVID-19.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. The Intercity travel ban in Zimbabwe has been lifted and bus companies can now return to business. As correspondent Faraya Wakutuya reports, COVID-19 health measures will still be observed.
The deserted Mbare Musika terminal might soon be back to its bustling self again, with the resumption of long-distance travel that will allow a return to income for operators and social reconnection for grounded passengers.
You can imagine a close relative falling sick and not being able to go and see them. I have personally lost some relatives whose burials I could not attend. At least now I can travel and pay my condolences.
With over 10,000 direct jobs and many more in downstream industries hanging in the balance, the umbrella body of operators has taken the initiative to make the bus park compliant with COVID-19 prevention guidelines.
We are erecting a perimeter fence, a palisaded security fence to try and create some security, to try and have a controlled entrance and a controlled exit, whereby buses will be disinfected on the entrance. The bus crews will be screened on the entrance by the authorities.
2 boreholes will be sunk to ensure there's adequate water supply. Some of the changes will address other long-standing concerns.
The fence will reduce crime because thieves are stealing people's luggage and easily getting away. It will also make sure that we are boarding buses that have been vetted.
That is crucially important in view of the pent-up desire to travel. In the past, undesignated pickup points have mushroomed as some operators try to avoid fees at the official termini. Because there's very little or no enforcement of safety guidelines, this popular stop for travelers to Zimbabwe's second city, Bulawayo, poses a health risk, but it also threatens the financial recovery of compliant operators.
We have engaged the government on that issue. We are going to enforce. The government is going to enforce all those who want to use those open places, illegal pickup points. The government has assured us that they will make sure that there is no one who is going to use those facilities.
Long-distance operators are required to register with the Ministry of Transport and have their buses passed as roadworthy before they can start ferrying passengers again.
COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on school feeding in South Africa, forcing many pupils to miss what was their source of daily nutritional meals, the national school feeding programs. As correspondent Yelisa Injamela reports, authorities are devising other means to ensure the students get fed.
South Africa's National School Nutrition Program feeds millions of learners nutritious meals every day at school. More than 19,000 schools are part of the feeding program. The program reaches the most vulnerable children in the country. The program tries to combat malnutrition, reduce hunger, and improve school attendance. Sifako Makhato Primary School in the capital Pretoria is one of the beneficiaries.
The circumstances the children are coming from are not the best of them all. They come from the squatter camps, 95% of them. For some of them, it's the first meal and the last meal with lunch. Their parents are not even home, and who has cooked a meal at 6 o'clock? They reach the school at 7 and they know they're going to eat a decent meal.
Teachers here attest to the fact that the nutrition program helps to improve the children's ability to learn.
Before they eat, you'll find some sleeping in the classroom, and when you ask them, they'll tell Ma'am, I'm hungry, I didn't eat anything. So you could tell that the learner cannot concentrate while hungry with an empty stomach. You know what I mean? So, and then after, when we serve them the meal, you could tell the learner can play, the learner can participate in the classroom.
You feel happy for?
I feel so happy. I feel happy all the time when I see the huge difference the meals make. These children would not be able to learn if this feeding scheme was not available, or even be able to have a meal at all.
But for a couple of months, the school nutrition program could not operate. The feeding scheme came to a complete halt at the end of March when government introduced the strict lockdown. That meant millions of children had to go without their free daily nutritional meal.
With the COVID-19, we faced a situation where we were not able to feed because of the hard lockdown, which restricted movement in the country. But we tried to keep on feeding in some parts, but it was difficult because the infrastructure for school feeding is here in the school, and we've never had to feed from elsewhere before.
In an effort to increase the number of learners receiving meals, the Basic Education Department is devising other means.
They also prepare food parcels for those parents whose children are not here, but we knew that they were beneficiaries of the program. So we asked them to come collect and take home. And when we do that, the food doesn't just benefit the child, it benefits the entire family.
The National Nutrition Program is widely celebrated as one of the government's most effective pro-poor interventions for its impressive scope.
Chinese telecoms giant Huawei has launched the 2020 Seeds of the Future program in the Ivorian capital of Abidjan to train young students in digital transformation. Participants were selected through a competition in major schools and universities across the country. So far, more than 1,500 young persons have already benefited from the training. Head of the Ivorian Ministry of the Digital Economy and the Post, Lassina Konate, said Huawei is a strategic partner with the ministry in the development of digital technology skills and training. Once they complete the training program, participants are offered internships in China at the University of Huawei, an experience that is expected to also grant them cultural immersion and also open the door to the digital world. At least 30 students are marked for the internship.
When we return, international news, Australia's economy affected by COVID-19. And later, sport, Bayern Munich win UEFA Super Cup.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. China has reiterated the call for solidarity among major countries to deal with the common challenges facing mankind. A call was made by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi during a virtual United Nations Security Council meeting on Thursday. Thursday's video conference was themed Maintenance of International Peace and Security, Global Governance Post-COVID-19. Australia is known to be one of the world's strongest economy, but it has faced economic challenges lately from wildfires and COVID-19 pandemic. Many jobs have evaporated and more than 1 million citizens are unemployed. Correspondent Greg Navarro has the details.
Andres Jaramillo says the reason he's still in business several months into the global pandemic is his ability to adapt.
It's challenging. You will have to come up with different ideas, different deals, different methods of how to get foot traffic in.
That lack of foot traffic has been crippling for many businesses. More than 40% surveyed report shrinking profits, rising costs, and an uncertain future. Lockdowns and border closures have successfully slowed the spread of COVID-19 in Australia, but they've come at a huge cost. Jobs have disappeared. More than 1 million Australians are now out of work. Government wage subsidy programs have helped cushion the impact. Economists caution that the country's latest official unemployment figure at just under 7% doesn't tell the whole story.
What we see is data. It's not what's happening today, it's what was happening over the last several months. Secondly, there's a lot more underemployed people who'd like a job. It's well over 11%.
And there's more pain expected later on this year when loan deferments for hundreds of thousands of Australians, including homeowners, come to an end.
Well, I think there will be a cohort of borrowers who will find themselves in a position where they simply can't meet the higher repayments that they will be expected to meet when they come out of the loan deferral periods, and they may have no alternative but to sell their homes in order to repay the debt.
Experts say Australia's success in slowing the virus has meant that its economy has fared better than most countries.
Taming the pandemic, or at least controlling it and limiting the size of the outbreak, was critical for the economic performance.
That's why economists believe Australia is better positioned to emerge from the recession once the pandemic is over. In Sydney, where confirmed cases remain low, Jaramillo's Cafe is able to operate with few restrictions.
Yeah, I think we'll see a way out of it. It's better shopping.
As long, he says, as restrictions remain at a minimum and customers keep coming back.
Thailand's Justice Minister Somsak Thepsutin has announced this country will turn at least half of its prisons into tourist attractions to boost visitors' number as the country struggles to recover from an economic slump caused by the COVID-19 outbreak. But why would tourists want to visit prisons in the country? Correspondent Martin Lower explains.
These steel bars once formed the jail cells, holding prisoners serving sentences lasting years and years. They've been kept for decoration and also a reminder that this is a place of correction. But jail authorities say they're now taking an enlightened view, and trusted prisoners can work at this jail cafe serving the public in preparation for their release back to society. For almost a century, this was the main jail in Ayutthaya, a province north of Bangkok. But when it could no longer cope with the growing number of inmates, a new prison was built, allowing the old jail to be turned into a rehabilitation centre. It's one of the jails selected for an experiment by Thai authorities to open up 72 of the country's 143 prisons to public view as a new type of tourist attraction.
In the past, people always thought of Thai prisons as a twilight zone. Now we have a way to let people know what we are really doing, and it helps the prisoners realize they haven't been forgotten.
For years, Thai jails have had a reputation for overcrowding, with dozens of prisoners to a cell. At times, inmates are locked in chains. But the Corrections Department says there's another side to the story, which they now want to show. Paranyu is serving a 3-year sentence for drug offences. They've asked us to obscure his identity.
I
can earn a little money working in the cafe, so I'm saving up for when I get out. I can start over, then I won't make the same mistake that got me sent to prison.
Other jails are inviting visitors to observe construction projects, prison farms and inmate cookery courses, though only well-behaved prisoners will take part. Dangerous inmates will remain under lock and key. The idea of putting prisoners on display may seem voyeuristic, but it's being carefully managed. Visitors will be able to see inmates in workshops, on prison farms, or, like here, in a public cafe. But they won't be able to see them locked up in their jail cells. Visits to a jail can be arranged for large groups, or, in many cases, individuals can simply turn up at the prison gates. With COVID-19 travel restrictions, for now it'll be only Thais and foreign residents taking the tours. But when overseas visitors return, the jails are expected to become popular tourist attractions, providing a very different holiday photo from the beaches and temples for which Thailand is famous.
Up next, sport. Bayern Munich win UEFA Super Cup. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, Bayern Munich beat Sevilla 2-1 after extra time on Thursday to lift the UEFA Super Cup and complete a quadruple under coach Hansi Flick. This is the first European game played with some fans in the stands since the sport returned amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The Bureau of the FIFA Council has suspended Trinidad and Tobago Football Association with immediate effect for grave violations of FIFA status. Former leadership of the TTFA had lodged a complaint at a local court in Trinidad and Tobago contesting the FIFA Council decision to appoint a normalization committee for the TTFA. FIFA says this is in direct breach of Article 59 of FIFA statutes. FIFA raised the normalization committee after former TTFA leadership was accused of engaging in serious mismanagement. The suspension will only be lifted when TTFA fully complies with its obligations as a FIFA member, including recognizing the legitimacy of the appointed committee and bringing its own status in line with those of FIFA. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a great weekend.